Well, good morning and Shabbat Shalom once again. And once again, it is our dear, dear privilege to spend some time with Rabbi Hillel Silverman. Good morning, Hillel. Hag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Let's hear about Pesach this week so that we all get ready for our Seder tonight.
Right. Instead of the Seder, we'll be talking about Pesach and the Seder. To be an Israeli and to survive as an Israeli, you have to have a good sense of humor. Now, in the Haggadah, you have the 10th plague, Makat Bechorot. But the joke around Israel, it's not Makot Bechorot, it's Makat Bechirot, the plague of elections. Bechorot sounds like Bechira. Bechira is an election. 4 elections in 2 years. That is really a plague for the people of Israel. Let's talk about our Seder that we will be observing and participating in tonight, either in our homes or on the television. Seder, of course, in Hebrew means order. You have to know the order of the procedure of the Seder. When you drink the wine, when you eat matzah, when you lean, when you ask the 4 questions, that's Seder order. The prayer book that we use on the Sabbath is called a Sidur, from the same root, Seder, Sidur, to know the order of prayers. The prayer book we'll be using tonight is called Haggadah. It comes from the Hebrew Hagid. We're telling the story of the Exodus. Now, the number 4 is the most important number of Passover. There are 4 sons, there are 4 cups of wine, there are 4 portions of the Haggadah. Hakol Beseder, we say. Everything is in order, in good order. On our tables, we have important religious settings. We have 3 matzahs wrapped in a napkin, each one commemorating the different hierarchies in the Jewish religion. The Kohen, the Levi, and the Yisrael, the 3 categories. We have on the table a pillow. The pillow and the chair next to the table symbolizes the fact that we are not slaves, that we are free, that we can lean and relax. One of the important prayers of the Seder is the prayer that we recite is the prayer Ha Lachma. We hold up a bread, open the door, and we say, this is the matzah of freedom. This is the poor matzah of freedom. I remember my mother used to tell me when I was a child, I think she made up the story, that at this point in the Seder, in her home, they opened the door, and instead of welcoming a poor person, may the poor come who are hungry and in need come and celebrate the Seder, but in walked not a human being, but a goat. Bah! They said, welcome, Elijah, to the Seder. I've never forgotten that story. Holachma. We have on the table karpas, which is parsley, which is a symbol of the festival, a meal. We have on the table salt water, which is a symbol of the bitterness that our ancestors endured. Rachats, we wash our hands. Actually, we wash our hands twice at the Seder this evening. The first time we wash our hands because we will be handling food. We're big on hygiene. The Jews always washed before they ate, even took a bath at least once a week. The second time we have rachats is for the recitation of the motzi. We have the 4 questions which the youngest in the family pronounces, At my Seder, I will have my 3-year-old granddaughter, EJ. I don't know if she will be old enough to recite the 4 questions, but someone will be reciting the 4 questions. Why is this night different than all other nights? Why do we eat matzah? Why do we recline? Why do we dip twice? Number 4 signifies the 4 sons. And if you look in your Haggadah, you will see portraits of 4 different kinds of children. The wise son who wants to know what's going on here. What do all these traditions mean? The next is the Rasha. We call him the wicked son. He's not wicked. He's not robbed a bank or injured someone. He's wicked because he says, what do these rituals mean to you? And then there's a son who's not curious. He just says, what is this? What is this? What's going on? And the 4th son, and probably the worst son of all, is the one who doesn't know enough to ask. In the Haggadah, we see pictures of these 4 sons. I remember in the old-fashioned Haggadah, the little one was, the 4th son was a very, very small replica of a boy who didn't know enough even to ask. The tradition tells us another interpretation. These are not 4 different children. These are not different types of Jews. They are elements of the same individual. There are times when we can be wise. There are times when we are wicked. There are times when we are very not curious. And there are times we don't even ask. We have the 10 plagues. 10 plagues before the Jews left Egypt. And I think it's interesting that we take the spoon or the fork and we recite the plagues one by one and remove the wine from the second cup. Dam, Sephardeia, Kinim, Oreb. Why do we do this? Because we remember that Egyptians were also afflicted. Egyptians lost their lives during the time of the Exodus, and so we remember that fact. There is a midrash that the angels in heaven were applauding when the Jews crossed the Red Sea safely, and then the Egyptians who pursued them were drowned when the sea came over them. And God rebukes the angels and says, how dare you applaud when my children, the Egyptians also are my children, are drowning. We have the 10 plagues. They're natural phenomenon, most of them. The plague of darkness, it could be an eclipse, the plague of frogs, a plague of locusts. We might try to explain these plagues realistically. I don't think, frankly, it's that important, but it could be significant that the plague occurs, not that they are unreal, but the fact that they occur when they occur, when the plague was needed. We have on the table the maror and the bitter herbs and the charoset, the happy mixture of nuts and wine. We're mixing the bitter and the sweet, and we learn from this the lesson that life is bittersweet. There are times when we experience bitterness. At that time, we must remember that sweetness will come. And there are times when we experience sweetness, joy, happiness. We remember that this will not always be the case, that there will be problems also. So these are the symbols that are on the table. We read in the Haggadah tonight that the Jews assembled at the town of Bnei Brak in order to observe the Seder, and it lasted until the dawn, right through midnight. Historians tells us that this was not a Seder that they were celebrating, Akiba, the rabbi, is mentioned in this passage, but rather they were plotting the rebellion against Rome 2,020 years ago. And this was what they were doing at Bnei Brak. We read in the Haggadah tonight that Rabbi Gamliel, a famous sage, made the statement that there are three elements of the Seder that must be recited and interpreted: the matzah, the bitter herbs, and the Pesach. We make a sandwich at the Seder tonight. It's a sandwich of the bitter herbs and the charoset. Hillel actually invented the sandwich. We call a sandwich because the Earl of Sandwich in Great Britain made the first sandwich. But Hillel made the first sandwich thousands of years ago. And he should have taken out some kind of a penalty for it. And then we would be eating not only a tuna fish sandwich, but a tuna fish Hillel. Of course, it wouldn't have been a good thing to use the word sandwich, because then we might be tempted to go to a diner and order a Hillel and egg, ham and egg sandwich. Eggs, of course, are very appropriate for the Seder. The first food that we eat are hard-boiled eggs. Why hard-boiled? Hard-boiled because the Jew has survived his history because he has been hard-boiled. The more they tried to boil the Jews, the more hard-boiled he became, a symbol of fertility. Of course, it's interesting that the Christians observe the festival of Easter with eggs, just as we begin our festival with eggs. The Last Supper in the New Testament depicts the event when their hero, their sovereign, Jesus, was eating the Last Supper. I must tell you, I recall so vividly an event that occurred at Parris Island, South Carolina, when I was a chaplain, a Marine chaplain in the Marine Corps at this base. And I mentioned conducting the Seder, and there were many, many soldiers there and clergy there, that we begin by eating eggs because it's a symbol of fertility. I remember so vividly that after the Seder, a woman came up to me, the wife of one of the dentists, Jewish dentists there, and she said, "Rabbi, I've been married for 8 years and I never had a child, and I wish I could." I said, "Then be sure to eat the egg and you will see." The next year, strangely, I was transferred from South Carolina to Naples, Italy, and we reserved a hotel dining room in, of all places, Greece. And Seder night, the fleet, Sixth Fleet, came to Greece, and we had to conduct a Seder. We rented a hotel. Hundreds of sailors were with us. And after the Seder, the very same woman that came up to me the year before in Naples said, "I'm now stationed in Athens, Greece, and I still didn't have a child." I said, "Really?" I said, "Eat 2 eggs." Well, the next year I was detached from the Navy. I happened to be in Miami, and I knew that she lived in Miami, and I called her, and she wasn't home. I asked the one who answered the phone, "Where is she?" And she said, "She's in the hospital." I said, "Really? What is she doing in the hospital?" And the maid said, she had a baby. So I guess it's effective. Now, at the Seder tonight, we'll be talking about the coming of the prophet Elijah, Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi will be singing. Now, why Elijah at the Seder? That's an interesting question. And next Saturday, I'll be talking about why Elijah at the Seder. There are many reasons. One of them is that there are 4 cups of wine, and the Haggadah explained that these 4 cups represent 4 different words for freedom, but there is a 5th word, and the rabbis are not certain. Is this really a word for freedom or not. So they say, put on the table an empty cup and keep it empty. And someday, Teku, Elijah will come. Tishbi, Yafarish, Kushiot, the prophet Elijah will come and answer all unanswered questions. Is it really a fifth cup? Is there a fifth word or not? So they put the empty cup on the table, and through the centuries, they said, well, this is the cup of Elijah. Gradually, they filled the cup, and then the tradition arose that Elijah would come and visit the Seder. I'm going to go into great detail about Elijah next Saturday morning. We conclude the Seder by singing a number of beautiful songs. There are Dayenu, Da Da Yenu, Da Da Yenu. Another song we sing is Echad Miyodea, who knows one. It's the original quiz song. It probably it's part of Seder at the end of the meal to capture the attention of children, so they'll stay awake. Who knows one? Echad Miyodea. I know one God. Who knows two? Two tablets of the law. Who knows three? The three patriarchs. Who knows four? And etc. That's still another song we sing at the end of the Seder. Chad Gad Yah. The only kid. Chad Gad Yad. Chad Gad Yad. There was only kid. It starts with the cat who was devoured by the dog, who was devoured, hit by the stick. And actually, it's not a fairy story about Jack and the Beanstalk. It's a story of Jewish history, each one representing another enemy who tried to destroy the Jews. There are many contemporary questions that we can ask ourselves tonight. The plagues. Do we have plagues today? We certainly do. We have the plagues of COVID-19. We hope and pray that it will end and that by next Palestine we'll be in our home with our families where we belong. There are different pharaohs that we can name in history today, just as there are different plagues like the discrimination against those from Eastern Europe. There's one person we should remember during Passover. His name was Nachman ben Amitai. Nachman ben Amitai. Do you know who he was? He was at the Red Sea. The sea departed. The children of Israel, according to our tradition, were gathered at the banks of the Red Sea. And as the sea departed, the children of Israel were ready to cross over on the dry land, but they were afraid. They didn't believe that they could go. They thought the sea would come back right away. So this one person, Nachman, jumped into the water, and the water receded, first to his neck, then to his breasts, then to his waist, then to his knees, and then to his ankles. And the children of Israel saw the miracle, and they followed him. Nachman is a favorite name in Israel today. Streets are named Nachman, towns are named Nachman. Brigades in the army are called the Nachman Brigade. And so we should enjoy our Seder tonight. It has everything. It has food, it has wine, it has song, it has explanation, it has liturgy. I hope and pray, Chag Sameach, that you'll all have a happy Passover. Mo'adim l'simcha. Amen.
Amen. Rabbi, thank you. Thank you for sharing your reflections on the Seder, and thank you for your blessing for a beautiful Yontif. I wish you and your family a wonderful Hag Sameach, a really beautiful, sweet, sweet holiday. Take good care.
Rabbi, there's one other story. May I share it with you?
Please, by all means.
I'll never forget it.
By all means.
It was 75 years ago when I was chaplain in the Paris Island with the Marines. There were hundreds of servicemen stationed there at the Seder, and every non-Jewish chaplain, Catholic and Protestant, was there also. We got to the Seder when we came to the Afikomen. The Afikomen, which is the last food you may eat. And I said to the boys there, and I was conducting the Seder from the center of the auditorium at a table, and at a long table at the rear of the Seder were all of the chaplains, Catholic and Protestant. And I said, who stole the Afikomen? A simple way to end the Seder. Stole? Now the general was there, General Silverman, and his adjutant general was there, General Horner. And he kept saying to me, pass me the Manischewitz, Jack. Pass me the Manischewitz. And he was becoming very, very happy. And he heard the word stole, and he came to a neck microphone. And he said, not in my barracks will anyone steal. Whoever stole the Afikomen, he said, will be punished and go to the brig and will be on bread and water. Bread, they said, he's not allowed to have bread. So we continue. Who stole the Afikomen? A young man came up. What's your name? I'm Private Brody. Where are you from? I'm from the Bronx. What would you like for the Afikomen? He said, simply for the Afikomen, I would like a 10-day leave. A 10-day leave? That's impossible. No one at boot camp goes on a 10-day leave. Oh no, I want a 10-day leave. And so he went on, he began to argue. A 10-day leave, and everybody encouraged him there. Go on, a 10-day. All of a sudden, this is a fact. It's unbelievable. General Silverthorne, who was a great hero in the Marine Corps, all kinds of medal on his uniform. And he said, I am the father of this household. And I say, Corporal, not private, Corporal Brody, spot promotion. And I say, Corporal Brody, 10-day leave granted. As soon as he said that, all of the men, 300 of them, stood on their feet and applauded. That is my Passover, and it's a true one, true story of Passover.
I love it. I just love it. It's wonderful. Rabbi, a happy, healthy Zisen Pesach. Take good care.
Amen. Thank you very much. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.